The objective of this presentation is really about telling you how we differentiate and how we want to differentiate with you on the market with innovative solutions that solve the issues of customers, obviously. I will give you the messaging that we are pushing towards the CIOs in particular and the C-level of customers in general, how we position ourselves, what type of message we have, some customer examples as well. So let us go through that. So as the continuation of the keynote speech we had before the break. So, starting with something that is fairly straightforward and mastered by everybody. So obviously our target persona within the customer is the CIO and his teams. And obviously these people have one big issue, which is to deliver secure IT services to the business. They had a couple of years ago the big issue of mobility, so providing connectivity anywhere, anytime, wired, wireless to users, providing connectivity to guests and contractors on top of employees, supporting BYOD, so bring your own device, multiple devices that were not registered in the IT. So that was, let's say, interesting, but it was only the appetizer for the real big issue of today, which is the Internet of Things, with billions of connected objects that need to be onboarded on the network, automatically if possible, securely it would be best. So this is where we need to help CIOs to support this. Looking specifically at 2017, you know, every year there are some studies and some surveys to CIOs to ask them, okay, what is your primary concern? What are your primary concerns? And every year there are some changes. Here, this year, you have the top 3 issues that they have. So 41% of CIOs responded that their number 1 priority is to align with the business. And we've seen with some customers that IT was considered as being a bit disconnected from the business. The business would require some IT support in order to generate a new marketing campaign, for example, to have a new offer, to roll out new applications. And the answer of IT would be, yes, we can do it, but there is a big cost associated to that, and you need to wait a little bit because we have a number of processes to respect. But now CIOs are considering alignment with the business as their key priority in 2017. Second one, security. So I think in 2016, if I remember correctly, security was 5th or 6th, and now it's 2nd. And that's pretty obvious. You read the press, we all read the press, and every day we have examples of networks that are compromised because of insecure objects that are connected to them. And we have some there are some funny examples, but there are as well some terrifying examples. And this is why security is now even more important than before for CIOs this year. Among the examples, because I don't have them in the presentation, I can go through them a little bit. In the hospitality market, we have this 4-star hotel in Austria where the network was compromised, and they were using connected IP-based door locks, and then some hackers took control of the locks and they locked all the doors of the hotels. Some guests were outside of the rooms, but some guests were inside of the room. And then, in order for them to unlock those locks, they would ask for a ransom of, if I remember correctly, 1,500 euros in bitcoins. So that's the kind of funny example for us, a bit less funny for the customer. But there are also some terrifying examples, like in the healthcare environment, insulin pumps that have been hacked. So it was an experiment here. But if you change the amount of insulin put into the body of diabetic people, then those people can die. So this is a topic that is taken very, very seriously, especially in the healthcare environment. We have examples like this every day, so no need to spend a lot of time on this. All your customers have issues relating to their specific business. Third one is a skills shortage on networking, and this is due to a number of issues. First of all, you have the age of network engineers, so some of them are getting closer to retirements. And if you look at the younger generation, what we see is that they are more interested in developing apps than doing CLI to configure networks. Okay, so the issue of skills shortage is key for these people. Okay, and that's why they are looking for solutions more and more that bring automation and orchestration, and we'll talk about that. Looking at budget, so that's interesting, and for the first time since quite a while, analysts are saying that budgets, IT budgets of customers are growing. So that was kind of a surprise to me when I look at it. But then what's interesting is to look at the details, and the details are here. So globally, you have a slight growth, but that is focused on innovation, security, and analytics. And if you look at infrastructure, which is the topic of right now, the budget is still declining. So I need to do more. I need to support connected objects on top of users, and I have less budget to do that. Okay, so IT infrastructures are lacking, are shrinking, and we can say that networks lack attention. And even that networks are business bottlenecks. And here we have a study, so it's from 2015, but it's still valid here, based on the fact that networks are too complex, and when you want to roll out a new application in the enterprise, it takes a lot of time because you need to provision the network. Okay? Not only related to, but the vast majority of IT projects are late or delayed or cancelled. And the final one is pretty interesting. 17% of a network budget of a customer is used to deliver innovation. 83% is used to keep the lights on or to maintain the existing. So how, in this condition, can you go to the next phase of supporting new applications and transforming the business? Okay, so there are lots of missed opportunities because of complex network operations. So networks must become more automated, and they must become automated as computing or virtualization, where you can provision an entire IT infrastructure in a couple of minutes with a couple of clicks, with a lot of virtualization and automation. We need to do the same on networks, clearly. So it's not all bad, and there are some predictions here that graphical interface to provision networks are becoming more and more interesting for IT teams and network teams. So here there is a projection from Gartner saying that in 2020, 70% of network operations will be done with graphical interfaces. We can argue on the percentage, but clearly there's a trend and a need to go to orchestration, graphical interfaces, automated provisioning. Okay. So that's where we start with, let's say, the hype of today or since a couple of years. So software-defined networking, you've heard about that. That's kind of the magic to deliver everything, to automate everything, and to orchestrate everything. So there is an idea here to apply the good recipe of virtualization to networks, which is to connect an application with a network service dynamically, which is to avoid node-by-node configuration, so to do a bulk provisioning of the infrastructure, and basically to have applications that are connected to a central intelligence called an SDN controller, and to basically tell the network how to behave from bandwidth provisioning to security purpose. To set up end-to-end best path in the network and to guarantee quality of experience on specific applications. So that's the promise of software-defined networking. And obviously, if you look at it, there's a lot of hype, as I said, about it. And the question I'm asking right now is that the magic solution to address the three concerns of CIOs, which is alignment to the business, better security, and solving skills shortage. Okay. So, and because of all this hype and all this marketing, we have lots of customers asking us, okay, what is your SDN strategy? I have partners asking me, okay, we need to do an SDN seminar to explain what we are doing in that space. So here my objective of right now is to tell you how we can deliver the benefits of SDN with an Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise solution. Okay, so on paper, everything is good here. And the interest, by the way, of SDN is that for once it's not an initiative that is driven by vendors, but it's an initiative driven by customers. And the largest customers of networks, which are the big data center providers. So that's interesting. So normally it should be more applicable to customers. But we see that software-defined networking is used in big data centers. But we don't see it used in the enterprise. And there are a number of reasons to that. Because today, if you want to create an SDN solution, you need an infrastructure that supports the SDN protocols, like OpenFlow, for example. So you need a new generation of equipment. You need an application that has been designed for that. So meaning you cannot support the legacy applications of customers. So what do you do with them? Do you do quality of service and security only for a set of applications? And what about interoperability here? Okay, we have lots of vendors talking about switching solution, SDN controllers, delivering all the benefits that customers could dream about, but is it deployable? It seems it's not, because I don't know of an enterprise that is using such solutions. So again, the message here is if you want to go SDN like the industry is talking about, with a controller, with some specific protocols, you need, as a customer, to replace everything from infrastructure to even applications. But okay, let's say we're interested and we want to go there. The question is which solution? So if you look at commercial SDN solutions, most of them are using some proprietary protocols. And you know the issue with proprietary protocols is that if you have an issue with the vendor, it's extremely difficult to change. We have also the issue of seeing SDN solutions delivering massive benefits on data center environment. So making sure that our data center is extremely dynamic with good virtualization, that we are managing our workloads, that we are managing the movement of the workloads within the data center, and that we are able to have the application that programs the network in data center in order to provide the best quality, the best bandwidth, and so on. Okay? The issue is that those are data center solutions only, and they do not care about how users and objects are connecting to the network. And users and objects are not part of this extremely optimized network. Okay? So most solutions focused on data center deployments and not taking care about network access. Proprietary implementations. So if you don't want proprietary implementations, there is a temptation to go open source. So you go to the Open Networking Foundation and you can get all the good information and the good products that we are looking for. But in that case, obviously, you need an army of developers in order to make it work and to integrate everything, which is obviously something that mid to large enterprises do not have. Okay? We talked about the issues of skills within customers, and we've seen quite a lot of mission-critical customers that are running with an extremely small IT team and an even smaller network team. So what I've done is to go on the ONF website, so let's say the community that is managing this whole SDN solution and protocols and discussions among vendors and customers. And I looked at training that they do in order to certify engineers on SDN. And if you look only at the prerequisite to be accepted in the training, not what you're supposed to know at the end of the training, but what you're supposed to know at the beginning of the training, it's pretty massive. You need to understand SDN architecture, you need to be an expert in OpenFlow, you need to know the tools, and so on and so on. In the note pages of this presentation, which you will have access to, I listed all the prerequisites in order to become to be accepted in the training, and it's pretty massive. So if you look at the customers that you have today, how many of them do already have some skills in terms of those new architectures? So that's also another issue here. So there is an investment barrier here, and that's why no enterprise has deployed such solution here. But we have, at Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise, we do have a solution for what we call an enterprise-grade software-defined network. So we have a 4-step process in order to deliver all the promises of SDN. And this process is about automating network operations, automating profile provisioning, automating the virtualization of networks, and providing visibility and predictability into what we are doing. So let me go through the process of it. So first of all, it always starts with the network architecture, right? So here what you can see here, and here you have a zoom, is the way we are building network architecture. So I will take, for the sake of the example, this pod of 6900, and obviously this is very, very scalable here. We are building an architecture that looks like a spine and leaf, so an architecture that is positioned by lots of our competitors, where you would have removed the spine switches. So it's a one-layer architecture, okay? It's based on a standard protocol from the IEEE, so-called shortest path bridging, and it delivers a number of advantages. So first of all, it's a fully automated architecture where we bring this very simple design, okay, and this obviously design is certified, meaning that there is no issue when we deploy it. Layer 2, Layer 3 protocols are automatically provisioned. So things like link aggregation, virtual chassis, routing when you want to do routing, these things are automatically provisioned. We automatically attach equipment to these core networks, so be they access switches, or here, as you see on the slide, servers and storage, and routers here. So attachment is automatic. Moves, adds, and changes are also automatic. So let's say, for example, I have an infrastructure of 6 switches here, but my infrastructure needs to grow, and I need to add an additional 1 or 2 switches in my core network. I just need to plug it, and then it will be recognized automatically by the infrastructure and automatically provisioned. And this is also a self-healing architecture. So if you have a link failure or a device failure, it's also automatically detected, and an alternative path will be brought automatically. So in terms of performance and scalability here, so with only 6 switches, you can deliver 576, so a bit less than 610 gig ports in your core network, okay, with only 6 switches, so it's extremely scalable. This technology makes all these paths active, and there are multiple shortest paths that are automatically provisioned. So that's what's enable you in case of a failure to always have a short path to go anywhere to anywhere. And if you look into this 576 10 gig core network here, what you can see is because of the one layer architecture, you have a maximum guaranteed of 2 hops between 2 resources. So latency is extremely predictable here, okay? In terms of scalability, so we can scale up here and we can scale even more. We can easily scale to 1,000 nodes in a layer 2 flat network like this, and scale up to 35,000 10 gig ports here, which is obviously way more than what we need for an enterprise network, but extremely scalable. We will talk in the next slide about virtualization. So how do we contain different types of traffic? How do we virtualize the network? And here the standard is enabling and supporting 16 million virtual networks. Okay, so extremely scalable in order to help us virtualize the network and provide different IT and network services to different applications, different class of users, and different class of connected objects. So this is how we are pushing the automation in terms of network operations. Now we will talk about network profiles and what we are able to do. That's kind of a technology that we have since quite a while, but we have evolved this technology in order to do that not only for users, but also for applications and IoTs. So what we do is to create profiles for here users, and what we do here is to define the quality of experience that the user should expect based on their job, based on their profile. So what type of applications should a marketing individual access? What type of applications should a sales individual access? What type of applications should a passenger in a train station access, for example, okay? So what type of quality experience on applications should the user get? What type of devices do we allow the user to use, okay? And what are the security parameters that I'm putting on that user? So are there some applications that the user should not access? We'll see through some examples how we leverage this technology. We do the same for connected objects for IoT. So we have profiles here where we define what protocol is using this IoT, what application is linked to this connected object, and what type of security measures we are expecting here. So the same, okay? And at the application layer, at the application level, we have also some profiling where we set the needed bandwidth on the application and also the security parameters. And here we are talking about true mobility because these profiles are created once on a graphical interface and are pushed everywhere in the network, on every switch port, on every Wi-Fi access point. And this is where a user, a connected object, or an application gets authenticated, that those network parameters are automatically applied, regardless of their location. And this is why we are talking about real LAN and wireless LAN mobility using those profiles. This is the key component of the solution. This is something unique in the industry. So we have created those profiles. Now let us go to the next step, which is to virtualize the network. So we are looking to create virtual LANs, virtual containers. We talk about an IoT containment solution. That's the way we talk about it. So how do we do that? I will go through an example here. So what you have here is a network infrastructure with a core network, with an access wired network, and with an access wireless network. You have a number of connected objects here, and you have their respective application, okay? So let us use the example of an IP door lock. Okay, so we are able to authenticate it. We have created a profile for this object, saying this application, the application that is linked to that object is this one, and at the moment it's located here. And there are a number of security aspects that we need to take in place. Okay, then we create in this profile as well, we tell the network which virtual LAN or which virtual container should this object be connected to. So here it's the red container. Okay, so this is all defined once and for all for this type of device and pushed all over the place on the network. Okay, so what we do on this virtual container, we authenticate and we accept door locks to be connected on this virtual LAN. We accept the network protocol that these door locks are using, and we discard any other type of traffic coming from these door locks. If you remember, that was a couple of months ago, there was a huge network outage with security cameras that were compromised within a large operator, and basically hackers used compromised network cameras and in order to use those connections to deliver denial of service attacks. Okay, so here that would not be possible because the only protocol that we are using is the door lock protocol. Okay, and we are obviously connecting to this virtual LAN, to this virtual container, obviously the application that is linked to this connected object. So we are in full mobility. So let's say in your data center for one reason or another, this application is moving to a different physical place. The profile and the configuration would follow as well, thanks to the application profile. Let's say we here forbid access to any other application to that virtual container. And here we are also forbidding a PC to connect to that specific virtual container. So this is secured here. Okay. So so you see that we are limiting at the maximum possible the type of let's say breaches that we can have on those virtual controllers. So if you look at this example, we are authenticating the device, we are accepting only the right protocol and we are discarding the rest. So we are authorizing only the application. And we do that end-to-end from campus here to data center. So again, we make sure that the connected objects or the users are the right ones, and we make sure that the application is the right one. That's how we do that in terms of virtualization. After that, we want to know what's going on. So we have the capability in our OmniSwitch 6860E on the wired side and on our Stellar wireless LAN coming forward to do what we call deep packet inspection and the ability to read the entire packet up to layer 7 in order to get information about the application. So I will take an example. If you take the example of Facebook, Facebook is about 20 different applications. So you have the Facebook pages, okay, so pretty straightforward. And by the way, pretty important for marketing individuals in an enterprise because they are doing social media-based marketing, so pages are extremely important. You have Facebook Messenger, for example, and this you might want to forbid because you've made the choice of Rainbow as a communication environment in your enterprise. So you can forbid Facebook Messenger pretty easily. And the other one is also interesting. Third example, it's Facebook Video. So you have noticed that now when you go to Facebook, videos are launched automatically, which is interesting from a bandwidth point of view on the network side. So this is also something that you can limit or forbid as a network administrator and pretty easily. So just to let you know the amount of granularity that we can provide in terms of application control, okay? So you can recognize those type of applications. We have also signatures here for verticalized applications. So here on the example, we are talking about hospitality applications. So for example, property management systems and these kind of things, okay? So you can recognize the application, and as you have the full visibility on the applications, you can control, and then you have a number of activities or a number of actions that you can deliver. So you can reserve bandwidth. So for example, on the Rainbow, you want to make sure that you have enough bandwidth for desktop sharing or video conferences. You can put less or more priority depending on the importance to the business. You can forbid some applications. You can prioritize, and so on and so on. And when we connect all the dots together here, so we know about the user. So again, here you are in a, for example, in an hospitality example. So we know about the user. So it's a staff versus a guest, for example, here. We know about the device. We know about the situation here. And remember, we will start to have a lot of information in terms of location of assets and location of people. So you have also that information here. You have the application that is used. And you can combine all of this information in order to create a policy here, okay? And there are many examples here that we can push. Okay, so we have a number of profiles to configure. If we want to have user profiles, IoT profiles, and application profiles. So the good news is that it's pretty straightforward on the graphical interface. It's done once and it's pushed all over the network. But we might want to make it even more automated. And that's why in OmniVista 2500, we have APIs to orchestrators. For example, OpenStack or vCenter Orchestrator, this type of platforms, in order to get an orchestrator to push automatically the creation of profiles within OmniVista. So we can automate that even more. In order, obviously, to link network configuration with computing provisioning, you know, number of cores, type of CPUs, RAM, and so on, okay? So the idea is really to connect with the rest of the data center provisioning through APIs available in OmniVista 2500, our unified management platform. So what do we have here at the end? So let me describe this a little bit. So we have a data center here, we have a data center here. We have cloud applications, so available in the public cloud or in private cloud, and then you have a campus access network, and then you have users trying to access here. So if you look at the promise of SDN in the industry, you have a virtualized environment in the data center, you have another virtualized environment between data centers through the wide area, but you have absolutely no way of integrating the objects and the users in such a virtualized environment. And this is where we are making the difference with Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. So what we do here, first, we are putting our optimized architecture in each data center, running SPB as the underlying protocol here, okay? So in the data center. It's a protocol that we are extending to the wide area if needed. So you have an end-to-end layer 2 network in order to have the full transparency of your virtualized containers, your virtual machines, and so on. And it's also something that we are pushing to the access network. So we have an end-to-end layer 2 network here that is spanning from the users and devices to the applications. Okay, so it's a technology that can be run on the data center, the backbone, and the network access with, again, a lot of automation. Okay, so we are providing here end-to-end virtualization and a way for users, devices, and applications to securely access this network. We have customers, obviously, and we have some customers that have made a specific effort in measuring the return on investment of their solution. And here, what I'm showing are a couple of examples. And I chose these examples because on the public internet, on the press, you have access to their return on investment calculation, and you can see the details of those. And you can see pretty impressive numbers, because here again we are talking about automation, we are talking about orchestration, and we are talking about simplification. So at the end of the day, you have a cost, an operational cost that is reduced. And if you take this example here, which is not a new example but still very valid, the savings were pretty amazing. So huge savings on CapEx thanks to an optimized architecture, and incredible savings on OpEx, so they divided their OpEx by 10. And here, again, you will have this presentation, so just click on the link and you have all the details of the calculation. That includes training, maintenance, energy cost, and so on and so on. Okay? So this is education. Here on healthcare, so here we are talking about a big healthcare campus with lots of hospitals, and they wanted to build a cloud, so their total cost of their data center and their cloud infrastructure was $40 million. And they chose our solution simply because we can automate network reconfiguration to follow the data center optimization and orchestration. So in a couple of clicks, with a lot of automation, you have dynamically the network that is reconfigured to adapt to applications. They never saw that anywhere else, so that's why they chose Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. IDC Frontier here, so we are going to Japan a little bit. Again, very big savings both on CapEx and OpEx, and this information is also available publicly. A bit closer to us, again in the healthcare environment, in UK. Again, new solution, 5 times more bandwidth and almost 50% cost reduction in terms of maintenance, thanks to what I've talked about before. And the last one, here on this slide, which is Abilene Christian University in the United States. I have a short video from the customer on the next slide. It's not an exhaustive list. We talked about the Gothard Tunnel during the keynote. We did not talk about the Nevada Department of Transportation that is connecting lots of IoTs in order to check on the road conditions, on the traffic conditions, on temperature of the road and this type of things, and that is reporting that back to the central operation center. We have many references in terms of IoT-enabled networks across the 5 verticals that we are targeting. But now let us give us for a minute the speech to the customer.
My challenge when it comes to software-defined networking has always been, why do I want something else telling my network what to do? What is it that really provides the benefit that I want to take advantage of when it comes to software-defined networking? I mean, it's an industry buzzword. But at the same time is that I had a network administrator who really wanted to see a lot more resiliency in our network. So we wanted to understand how we could take advantage of multiple gig links or multiple links to all of our network switches, specifically in the data center. And so we started down this path of trying to understand what that means and how we can accomplish that. And we started talking with our network equipment manufacturer, Alcatel-Lucent Enterprises, and they had this shortest path bridging product, which was interesting. It allowed us to do multiple active links as opposed to a standby or an active and a non-active link. And now we're able to see multiple links up to our data center per top-of-rack switches, and now we're able to look at expanding that throughout the entire campus. I have 100 closets on my campus, all 45 buildings, and now I can able to take advantage of shortest path bridging and have multiple links. One of the things, the benefit for that gives me is that as I now look at software-defined networking, as I separate the control plane from the data passing plane, now I have to have a uniform connectivity, uniform infrastructure to every single switch, to every single fabric piece. And SPB has given me that pathway to that software-defined networking ecosystem.
So basically, those people were looking for software-defined networking solution, a bit of a buzzword. They were not sure what to use, but what they knew is that they needed more resiliency on the network. And that's why they were looking to shortest path bridging as a technology in order to provide multi-pass instead of a single pass and to add a lot more resiliency. He said that they have 45 buildings, so when you talk about schools or hospitals in the US, it becomes pretty big pretty quickly. And they have run out, they are using this technology, and that's the foundation for their future software-defined networking activities, just as a summary here. So, as a conclusion here, we have something that is actually working and that is deployed in lots of places. And the reasons why it is working is because we have an architecture that is, first of all, 100% standard-based, really scalable, with a lot of automation in it, with a lot of embedded security in there. And it's an architecture that we call pay-as-you-grow, meaning if you need to grow your network, you just add a switching component to your infrastructure. You don't need to change your software or totally respin your architecture. So that's a huge value here. Our architecture and infrastructure is centered around applications, and we manage not only the new applications, but also the legacy applications, and that's a key differentiator in this area. What we are doing user-centric networking, so thanks again to that profiles, and we are doing the same for Internet of Things, so connected objects are really at the center of our network profiling. What's interesting is that we have a unified policy from LAN and wireless LAN, so regardless of the access medium, the quality of service and the security is the same. We do that from campus to data center, and we provide the full visibility of it with OmniVista 2500. So that's what we do, let's say, in as a concept. And what I would like to do right now in order to make it more concrete is to give you an example, a customer example, as we could push this technology, as we have pushed this technology. Okay? So here, so we have, by the way, examples of this for the 5 verticals that we are targeting. I chose one of them for the presentation of today, which is government and especially military. So if you go into a military environment, you have a campus, okay, a military campus with a number of buildings and with a number of users. And to make it simple, we have 2 types. We have soldiers and we have civilians. Those people are using devices in order to work, so they are using computers, they are using phones, okay, and they need to go through a network infrastructure into a data center to access applications, and then you have an IT team, so pretty straightforward here. And when we look at the customer, obviously, in the world of today, we have many different personas, as we call them, to convince. So first of all, we need to take into account the needs of the field operation commander. So this guy needs to deploy connected objects, connected vehicles, connected weapons, and this type of things. So Internet of Things is key here in order to make military operations more effective. You have the security officer who needs to make sure that everything is secure. So we are talking about obviously video surveillance cameras, locks, and this kind of things. We have the IT manager. So this we know these people, we know their problems, right? It's about the operations, maintenance, training, security more and more, obviously, and especially in that environment. And we have let's say, the big boss here who cares about strategic priorities, budget, and efficiency. And here there are multiple expectations which we need to provide a solution to. So we do it with our solution. As I mentioned, we provide the full mobility. We support IoT. We do provide in-depth security, simplified operations, and performance, as we talked about a bit before. We are leveraging our innovations, as I believe I talked about during the keynote, so unified access, intelligent fabric, smart analytics, and IoT containment. And how do we put that in practice into their environment? So you see we have the same campus here. What we have now on top is a data center, and then we have a network in between. So we are adding the connected objects. So in pink, you have everything that is linked to HVAC. So you have air conditioning and so on. In purple, you have everything that is linked to security, also the video surveillance cameras and the IP locks. In red, you have lots of different sensors here. Okay. So for the example, and you have the respective applications available here. So first of all, we have in our interface created the different profiles here, which are pushed automatically to the entire network. Okay? So all the profiles are available in our entire network. So at the access here for objects and people, and here for applications. It's all pushed automatically. And then here in your profiles, you have all the types of devices that you need to authorize on your network, how to classify them, and how to deliver quality of service and security. So here, talking about HVAC, so heat and air conditioning. So here your air conditioning system, your thermometers here are connecting to this virtual network here. And only these two types of devices are accepted on that virtualized network. Any other device or user are not accepted on that network, and if they try to access this network, the traffic is automatically discarded at the entrance of the network. Same with the training center, okay? And here you see that you don't go into all the locations if you want, okay? So maybe you don't want to be able to deliver training in your airport tower. Kind of makes sense, right? And here, all the sensors that you need in order to deliver training are connecting to that specific network. Security container, same ID, so we accept only here the video surveillance camera, the IP logs, and also the digital signage for security to that specific network. And what we do on top of that, as we talked about, is that not only we accept only the right device, but we also accept only the right type of network protocol. And as we have the extensive network analytics, we are able to double check that it actually works as we defined. So that's what we push right now in military environments, and I can tell you those people are extremely excited about this. Civilian container, you name it, and so on. Okay. So at the end of the day, you have all these virtualized networks in order to manage securely these different needs. So at the end of the day, what do you have? You have one network, a very simple, virtualized, where the virtualized portions of the network are only accessible by the right compliant authorized devices. The traffic is contained within the virtualized network. The quality of service is managed. and the experience is ensured. Thanks to the shortest path bridging standard that is extremely scalable, extremely available, and provides extensive virtualization capabilities. With the automation in terms of provisioning in the intelligent fabric and also the self-healing, and also unified access with smart analytics in order to, again, double-check that we are making the right thing in terms of application containment, for example. And also, our smart analytics are providing a predictive analysis to tell us how the network will behave in the future based on the measurements. Okay, so again, one network only, simple operations, high reliability, and very strong security. And at the end of the day, you've made everyone happy with a reliable, secure, efficient, and flexible network here. Okay. So, as a conclusion here, I would like to remind you that we are positioning ourselves very strongly in the Internet of Things space. We have very strong deployment in each of the 5 verticals that are named here. I talk to prospects that do not believe that what we are providing is possible, and that's why in that case we are making customer visits, and here after that they come back to us and they say, okay, I want to know more about this. So we have here a very strong solution. As a benefit for you, our business partners, let me propose you the following. First of all, is a very pragmatic approach to deliver on the promise of software-defined networking. So no vaporware on OpenFlow, VXLAN, and all these type of things. We do support the protocols if needed, but we are pushing a very pragmatic, straight-to-the-point way of delivering those benefits. We are delivering a clear return on investment, and here you have the examples of specific customers that have made these calculations in terms of savings of CapEx, savings of OpEx, enablement of new solutions. It's fully automated. I invite you to again look at all the details of the automation levels that we are able to provide. It's fully orchestrated, so we have good orchestration capabilities with OmniVista 2500 in terms of the networking. And remember, we provide APIs to go to orchestration platforms in order to have an end-to-end IT automation here and orchestration. Something that I would like to highlight as well is the fact that from campus to data center, in terms of switching, we have only one single operating system, which obviously simplifies a lot on training. We have one network management system that does obviously the network provisioning, that understands the applications, and that is also managing seamlessly LAN and wireless LAN. And I'm insisting on this because it's far from being the case with most of vendors on this marketplace. I believe that there is for you a big services selling opportunity. So obviously we talked a lot about security. We are not per se a security vendor that provides firewalls and unified threat management systems, but our network infrastructure needs to participate to the overall security efforts. So I hope I have been clear on how we can secure IoT's users and applications. So here you have a good opportunity for services upsell on top of that. Talking again about the unique profiling capabilities we have for users, IoT and applications. This is also a big, in my opinion, consulting opportunity for you with the customers, because in most of the cases, it needs investigation to understand the exact requirements of every user type, every object type, and every application. So here you need to help the customer to do that. So that's why I believe overall there is a big opportunity for you in terms of services. So if people ask you about SDN, to talk about SDN, you can tell them that you are able, with Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise Network, able to provide the benefits that they're expecting from a software-defined networking solution.